Trying to get her to understand that we actually did give forth an effort.
Yeah.
So that was a little frustrating, but you know, middle child.
Yes. Well, you know, one of the things that I think about that, like I think about constantly all the time. You know, I have younger brothers. Yes, I'm the oldest. But we are all human, and we're all living real human experiences every single day.
Yeah.
And just because we all have the same parents, it doesn't mean that we have the same experience with our parents. Which is some of the things that I try to be mindful of all the time. It's like, yeah, you know, that's we have the same mom, but it doesn't necessarily mean that their experience is, you know, not valid in comparison to the experience that I had. You know, the experience that I had with my mom was just the experience that I had with her in that time frame of life,
right?
In that period of time, and I got the experience of her as a single parent.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, my younger siblings were able to experience more of her. You know, with having a partner, having someone who could actually help create, you know, just a little bit of a softer experience for her.
Yeah.
But their experience with our parents, that's a valid experience too.
Yeah. That's tough. That's very tough. But that's a valid point. Even outside of just, you know, sibling relationship.
Yeah.
In general, your experience with your mom is your experience, and you can all be in the same household, being raised completely different.
Completely.
For example, like the grandparents treat the children different.
Yes.
Like the stuff the grandkids would get away with. I know my mom would not play that with us.
Yes.
So yeah, that's a valid point. So, question. What advice would you give to a firstborn who is struggling with the weight of expectations?
To a firstborn that's struggling with the weight of expectations, I would, from the young lady perspective, I would definitely say, sis, don't just create the boundaries, but take off the whole cape.
Yeah. Yeah. Take it off.
Take off the cape.
Yeah.
Create the boundaries for yourself. Live your life. Take up space. Don't, if you're struggling with like meeting expectations of like, you know, family expectations, your parent expectations, just remember that you are your own person.
Right.
And that's really it. That's the bottom line. You know what makes you happy. You know the things that fulfill you. And it's super important for you to be mindful of those things. Don't take ownership of feeling like you have to, you know, feel all of these roles that are not necessarily yours.
Right.
We want to help, and we want to help in the respects that we can, when we can. But, you know, there should be limitations to that. And be mindful of your limitations and be okay with it. And they'll be okay too. The moments when you just have to say no, and no is a complete sentence.
No is the key.
Yes.
I agree. I feel like in life, expectations are there in general, and it's up to you to kind of delegate how you're going to go about meeting them or not.
Yeah, or not.
It's not a requirement. It's not a law, and it's not in the Bible to meet anyone's expectations. At least for me, that's what I go by. And then, of course, you can base your life on whatever you want to base it on. But as for me, if it ain't in the Bible, I don't feel pressured anymore. I don't feel pressured anymore to meet a standard that I didn't create for myself. So learning from experience. Learning from experience, I think that's where I would kind of try to meet it at as far as meeting anything. Is it a standard that you yourself would believe in as far as a bar you set on how you want to live your life? If it's not something that you feel like you yourself would set as a standard, let them talk.
Yeah.
Pick up what you will and leave what you won't. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, I know it's easier said than done.
It is so much easier said than done.
Yes.
It's constant work. It's a work every day. To really stay within those boundaries. It is constant work, but it's worth it. Yeah. For yourself, for your mental health.
Yes.
It's worth it.
Yeah. And say no, like she said. Say no. If you've been stretched too thin, it's okay to say no. And I know no for me hurts so bad. I don't understand it. I'm still trying to grasp the concept of why I can't say no sometimes or why it feels so bad. Mm-hmm. Even if I'm hurting myself. Mm-hmm. No just feels bad. But better safe than sorry. Better to say no and protect your peace and then later on be drowning in a mess of trying to meet everyone's expectations of you, which is unrealistic. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even our parents sometimes can't produce when we need them to. Yeah. They're humans. Mm-hmm. So I feel like if you keep that in mind, like, is this a standard that I would even give myself? Is it realistic humanly? Yeah. And line it up with that. If it's over the bar that you've even set for yourself, be real. Like, no, that's just not where I'm at right now. Yeah. Maybe in the future. Yeah. But right now, this is my limit, and I can't. Mm-hmm. I can't. I won't. Mm-hmm. Not today. Yeah. So sorry. Yeah.
So sorry.
So sorry. Not today. And it just is what it is.
Yeah. And people, they'll receive it how they're gonna receive it. They might be upset. They might demonstrate frustrations. They might, have something to say behind it because you said no or you couldn't show up in whatever respect that they asked you to show up. Right. Or meet whatever expectation that they put in place for you. Mm-hmm. They're gonna feel how they're gonna feel. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's your life.
And it goes on.
Yeah, it does.
No matter who's upset.
Yeah.
I think that is something I also grasp as well. And this is I don't know if I should say this, but this is what I'm getting. Mm-hmm. It's just like death. People are here today, gone tomorrow. Yeah, we mourn for a short period of time, but we have to keep going.
We have to keep going.
We can't mourn for the rest of our lives. And even though it's sad, even though it's disappointing, that's that season, and once it's over, you move on. Yes. So they'll only be upset with you for a moment in time, and then they have to move on. Yeah. There's nothing they can do about it. Yeah. Life goes on, and I bet you they'll find someone else to do whatever they need them to do.
Yeah, they will.
So if you just think about it like that, I think there's less pressure. But
and I'll tell you this too. Another thing that I've realized over time with just creating that boundary. Taking the cape off and saying, hey, I'm not Superwoman. Yeah. I can't, do all these things and then do the things necessary for myself as well to take care of myself. What I've learned along the way is as you are continuing to show up for yourself in that respect and you're creating that boundary, you're also in a respect training people on how to treat you and what your expectations are. And they will double check it. They will double think it. Yes. Before they even make the attempt to reach out to you with something that sometimes might be a little bit beyond your capacity of what you are willing to do or be able to offer. Yeah. So while it might be uncomfortable at first, it's uncomfortable for you. It's uncomfortable for the relationships, the people that you're in relationship with, whether that's your siblings, your parents, your partner, whoever that those people are that you feel like, gosh, they're really draining me, they're really tapping me out. Yeah. On what I'm able to offer. The more that you train yourself to just be mindful of your boundaries, the more that you're training those people too.
Yes, that's fair. That's fair. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Last question. Yeah. I don't know if we went over this, but I'm going to ask it. Okay. Has your experience as the eldest influenced how you raise your kid?
Yes. Or your kid? I do think that being the eldest has influenced my experience of raising my daughter. Mm-hmm. Because, like I said, my experience, like, I didn't have, like, the real firm, You know, like you can't do this or you can't do that.
Right.
Like I just kind of knew what those expectations were. And my mom was very fair in return. Of being able to do things when I wanted to do things. But and then there were things that, you know, I still, you know, just kind of knew that I wouldn't ask for, or I would fade to the back and not take up space just because I didn't want to be that burden for her. So fast forward to today with raising my daughter, yeah, there are a lot of things with being that firstborn, and my experience with being the firstborn and being under parenting that was in a single parent home. I'm really mindful of, like, I don't want to create like such pressure for my baby. I don't want to create such pressure for her. Like, I want her to have the softest life. Like, I literally try to go above and beyond to make sure that my child's life is like so copacetic. And sometimes I have to be really, really mindful of that because you know, I'm like constantly thinking about, you know, am I projecting, you know, previous experiences, you know, and is this why I am creating this type of experience for her? And I don't want her to be so removed from, you know.
I get it.
To be such a princess, I want her to be the princess, but I don't want her to be so removed from, you know, just, you know, life and expectations to the point of not knowing how to navigate life when she really has to do it herself. So it has definitely shaped, like, being the firstborn, being in the single parent firstborn experience. It shaped a lot. My go-to in terms of parenting is I want everything to be soft for her. And I'm gonna do everything that I possibly can to make it soft for her. And I don't ever want her to feel like she's got to show up and always has to demonstrate being strong, because I feel like that's what it was for me. It was, you know, you have to be strong. You know, you figure it out, get it done, and I don't want that experience for her. Like, I want her to know, like, it's safe, you know, to ask. It's okay to have. It's okay to want. You don't have to figure out, you know, how to go get the prom dress on your own. You don't have to do that.
Even the prom dress. Oh, there's so many times I can genuinely say I had to figure it out. So I can relate to that. I think my child's first word is going to be communication. I'm going to drill communication. Like, above all, the only way it can be done properly is if you communicate. Like, I feel like that's my answer. Communication, because I feel like we didn't have that with our parents. We didn't get to talk to them.
There was no talking.
It was kind of just, like I said before, a silent contract. Everyone knows the order of business. Don't speak unless you're spoken to. Stay in the child's place. There's so many lines of disconnect that was drawn, or lines of not being able to properly communicate what you're trying to get across. And I also have to be very aware of, I don't have any kids yet, but if I do, and when I do, I'm gonna try to keep myself from, what's the word you used? Projecting. I feel like I'm gonna project a lot, because being the firstborn, I was my mom's right-hand man. So
you said
I saw,
right-hand man.
I was her pocketbook holder. So I saw and I experienced everything secondhand, and it affected me to the point where I'm like, I don't want a repeat. I don't want a two-peat of this. I don't want it. And it's to the point where now it's almost a fear of not even childbirth. I ain't scared to push nothing out. That's not my issue. My issue is proper parenting. To the point where I'm like, I would rather not than put somebody out in the universe that's broken from anything I did on purpose or not on purpose, or where I'm going to lack as a parent.
Well, and I will say this too, you know, from the parenting perspective, and like how being that firstborn has impacted me and how I'm constantly navigating throughout my day to day and how I'm parenting with my daughter. I'm also really mindful of this is my first experience being a mom.
Yeah.
And this is her first experience being a daughter. And it did take some time for me to realize, like, my mom's experience being a mom was her very first experience being a mom. There is no right, there is no wrong. You show up every day and you do what you feel like is the best thing to do for the day.
Yeah.
And although I do everything that I possibly can, and I try my very best not to project my previous experience from the child, the daughter, me being the daughter and my mom being the mom relationship. I try not to bring those experiences into me and my daughter's experiences. I know that no matter how hard I work with trying to create the best experience for my daughter, she's going to walk away from this experience and there's going to be something that she's going to say that she felt like I could do better.
That alone breaks my heart, because it's like we literally have no control.
Yeah,
and I know I mentioned that I learned that I don't have any control, and I think my childhood made me want to control everything because I had no control. Life events that happened back to back to back caused me to want control because of how I felt at that time. I'm like, okay, well, at least if I can have all these ducks in a row, I can avoid a lot of these feelings that I felt. So if I can control this part of my life, if I can control my business, if I can control this, that, and the third. My health taught me that I can't control nothing. The way these allergies and sinuses eat me alive taught me I can't control anything. And when my body says, girl, no, not today.
Not today.
There is physically nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I can push, but that just only makes it worse. It's like fighting against the fire, but the fire is getting bigger. Like, sometimes you just have to let it burn down everything and rebuild. So I think that's where I might struggle. And I pray God that, of course, I'll have growth between then and then. They say you really don't know what you're going to do until the child is there. Yeah. Because like you said, you don't know.
I don't know what I'm doing today.
You gotta lie.
And
it's a learn as you go. It's a DIY project. Okay. Like, it's really a learn as you go, and I'm going to have to accept. I'm being transparent about it. I'm going to have to accept that I cannot control the human being that God will give me. And I'm making this human being with another person, and it will be 50% of that other person's life experience and who they are and their DNA, and that I definitely won't have any control over. So I will just have to learn and manage with the best I have. And like you said, that's what allowed me to also give my mom grace. She didn't have no control over anything that happened. She never had been a parent, let alone the 3 small children in a foreign country with a language barrier and all of the things. So that helped me process that nothing she did, said, went about was intentional on purpose or to hurt me in any way or cause any trauma. And it was up to me at this point to delegate how I'm going to go about life with the trauma that I have or with the lack where there was lack, and how I'm going to grow from that. So I think that's where I'm going to really have to zone in and like probably get some help on the projection that I might be doing, because I'm probably going to try to protect the kids so much
from
myself,
girl,
not even from the world, because I feel like I will have control over what they see, who they're with, for the most part, until they're of age. Then, like you said, they're gonna go out and be like, well, my mama was so strict and she was so scared to let me do anything like me. She was so scared to... Look, and I'm not even knowing, as I'm speaking about it, I'm thinking, and I'm like, this is exactly what my mom kind of did to me, and I'll be doing the same thing, which is yet and still repeating a cycle that I don't want to happen by overly protecting the kid to where they feel as though they're not getting a life experience. So I'm going to have to be very mindful of let them live.
Yeah, let them live. Let them live. And it's so hard, but you know, I think about it all the time. Like, I'm like, well, you know, she could go to college. I hear my daughter talking about, you know, she wants to go to college, and I hear her talking about her and her friends are gonna move to California, and I'm like, ooh, they can go to college if they want to.
Triggered. Let my kid wake up talking about, Mama, I'm going to New York. Girl, where? Boy, where? Where are you going? Excuse me? Who said? Who? What? We didn't agree on this.
I'm gonna be right there.
What?
I guess I'll just have to move.
But you know what's funny? I feel like I'm going to get a mini me.
Oh, most definitely.
Even if they're a boy, I feel like I'm going to just reproduce my character.
Absolutely.
And now you get a little piece of what you gave.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm prepared for that.
Yes.
Like, genuine. If I'm being completely honest, even though I was meek, I was very meek. I sat in the corner a lot, and I was more of a watcher than a speaker or...
Yeah.
But with that, I'm collecting information. I sat in the corner and collected info. Oh, that's that's what it is. Okay.
Yes.
But I feel like I'm gonna get that 2 times worse because now they have way more information than we ever had. Access to. So it's gonna be me times 3 with more information. I don't know if I'm prepared for that.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of just trying to navigate like what type of world that we're in right now. Like, I'm constantly saying to myself, like, literally every single day, every day that we are walking through, that we're gifted, I have to remind myself, like, this is a different world. I cannot parent my child with world concepts that I had in the, you know, the 90s and, you know, the 2000s or whenever I was still under my mom's, you know, parenting. Like, this is a it is a different world for them. I love how you break out in songs.
I swear, I am a
I love how you break out in songs.
Yes. Back to regularly scheduled programming.
It is a different world.
Yeah.
It is not the same world. So, and I'm literally reminding myself that every single day. Every conversation that I'm having with my daughter about how did the day go, what happened in the classroom, like, you know, just asking those types of questions. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm filtering through all this, and I'm like, you know, I never experienced anything like that. You know, it is a different world.
Yeah.
And you have to be really mindful of that with parenting. Yeah. Yep.
So that's tough. Like, that's so tough.
Yeah.
Like,
lots of information.
It's so much. They have so much more information than we ever did, and all they have to do is grab a phone, grab a Google,
Hey Siri,
grab an iPad, and hey chat GPT.
Yes.
They can chat GPT everything I say and have a rebuttal.
Yes, they can.
Unlike us, it's what you was said.
Yeah.
That was it.
It was it.
Period.
You weren't gonna go look up anything. How are you just gonna look at that?
What phone were you using? Your Nokia brick? Like.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a different time, and I really have to work on my projection, because I feel like that's what's gonna cause the harm, and I would hate to do that to someone. It's not fair. I don't want them to live in what would feel like a prison of their parents' past. You know what I'm saying? In a sense, because no, that's not right. I want them to have everything that I didn't have and more. Yeah. And I gotta work on my hand. If that means me tying my hands behind my back and closing my eyes and saying go with one eye open.
I know. And that's the part that I really respect my mom about.
Yeah.
Because I know that there were many, many times that she probably wanted to say, no, I don't want you to go.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as it was with, you know, like certain friends,
Yeah.
you know, it was the, let me put my hand behind my back and squint the one eye and you can go. But, you know, and I feel like that type of trust, like having that trust from her meant so much to me that it was always I know how far I'm gonna go. No matter where I'm at, who I'm with, what I'm doing, I know that I'm not gonna go too far because I don't want to lose the opportunity. I don't want to lose the little spaces,
the little bit of space I'm getting,
the little moments that I have to be able to get out here and, you know, to enjoy my life and to have fun. You know, so I am really and those types of things too, you know, to be so like strict in a respect, it creates characteristics in children that I feel like sometimes, like, if you're gonna be that strict, then they're gonna do it and they'll figure out.
I don't want to tell them myself. I'm not.
Yeah,
but I did say before, it made me sneaky. Yeah. And I didn't like that I had to sneak because I felt like I would rather be honest.
Yeah.
Don't make me to be no liar.
Yes.
Like, don't raise liars. Yes. Because that's really what you're creating.
That's it.
Is liars. And we don't want that.
Yes.
We don't want a bunch of, because that seeps through all their aspects of their life.
Yes.
They'll just start to lie to get out of things.
And then to become adults, and then they have like character that shows up and just like really just crazy stuff that you just never really expected because you were so firm and you didn't give them the space to, you know, really just kind of like, okay, I really don't want you to go, but you can go.
Yeah.
It was a flat out no, you know, and so they made the ways to figure out how to get the experiences how they wanted to.
Baby, like, there's technology now, and dear future kid, don't watch this. You'll be air tagged. I could track you from your iPhone.
Come on. Yes.
I mean, for safety reasons, you know, for safety precautions.
There you go.
But I think that's what's probably going to give me a little bit of peace because now that I'm sitting here actually thinking about it, our poor parents, like, how could they even know if we were telling the truth about where we were going? They couldn't. Know. Yeah. They literally had to trust the Lord will keep you safe.
Come on. Trust the
Lord. My anxiety, the way it's set up, my mom used to... Me and my sister made a pact. Every time we go out, when she starts calling one, nobody answer when she calls the other. Because if one is answering, then it'll raise the eyebrow of why you're picking up, but she ain't picking up. And she's supposed to be, you know, monitoring everyone else. So when we're out, don't nobody answer the phone.
Yeah.
But now you ain't gotta pick up your phone. I can see exactly where you're at. Turn your location on. No. But turn your location on. You have an air tag in your car. You have an air tag, and I will sew it in if I need to.
Yeah, you're gonna be a helicopter mom.
I'm so serious. But all jokes aside, though, I want to get emotional.
Yeah.
But I truly commend our parents.
Yeah.
I know they had a rough time.
Yeah.
And all they can do is give us what they were given.
Yeah.
And do their best.
That's
and
it.
If this was their best, who are we to judge?
There you go. It took some time for me to get that. And I will be very transparent about that. Like, it took some time for me to get that. I can't say, you know, in those younger years, younger childhood experiences that I completely understood all of that. You know, were there frustrations about having to help out with my little brothers? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Were there frustrations about, you know, my littlest brother,
the babyest
brother, having to go everywhere with me?
Oh,
absolutely. There were lots of frustrations about that. But fast forward to today, you know, I can think about all those things, and I'm like, gosh, You know, there were just a lot of moving pieces that were going on in the background, and because of the role that I was in that moment as the child, and I should have just been in that role, and not having to, you know, help out with my siblings and do things like that. But it created those frustrations, and I didn't even really consider like all of the moving pieces that were actually happening in the background. So, but I mean, I'm thankful that, you know, I'm mature enough now to be able to reflect on that and say, okay, today, you know, I'm the adult now, you know, and so now I can really think about like, dang, you know, that was tough.
That was tough. Yeah, dear parents, we love y'all.
Yeah.
Dear our parents, we love y'all. Like, I wouldn't trade. People ask me often, like, my regrets in life and things like that. I don't regret it, and I wouldn't trade how my life panned out for anyone else's. Yeah, I can genuinely say, if those things didn't happen, y'all wouldn't have sitting across from you who I am today. Yeah. I can't even fathom to imagine who I would be as a human being.